Agenda item 13, city attorney reports.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Agenda item 14.1. Councilmember Cotton.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This is to bring up this body's thoughts on reinstituting public comment for items not on the agenda for our Thursday meetings. In the summary, you could see that I was keeping the 3 minutes for citizens to be heard, not allowing for 1 minute additions, and a max allotted time frame for that portion of the meeting to be 30 minutes. So essentially allowing 10 citizens to be heard if they want to be heard. It would be first come, first serve. The not sharing of the 1 minute would only pertain to this portion of the agenda. It wouldn't pertain to any other portions of our agenda. But just seeing what the temperature is, I think that, we're starting to see people come to DDB meetings and CRA meetings and use their citizens to be heard comment in an area where it doesn't belong. We've also had people request that citizens to be heard be put back on and or town halls be made available. I just think now would probably be a good time to get that reinstated. I think that bringing up this discussion with the parameters in which I've put forward, it may be palatable to each of you, but just seeing where everybody stands on that so that we can see where this ball goes.
Okay. Any other council members have thoughts? Councilman, go ahead.
Well, I'll chime in on it. I think it may be time to bring it back. We haven't seemed to have the disruptions. That's been nice not to have that. But I do think there are people that really would like to come and speak their mind to council. And I think, having the 3 minutes is good. Not being able to piggyback on top of that for people that want to create a scene or a commotion is good, and a 30-minute limit. Didn't we have that before? Did we have a 30-minute limit? No?
It was 60 minutes. I don't know how often that really came up in practice, but the rule did say 60.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm for it. If, everybody else is, I'd be for bringing it back.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilman Menino?
Mayor, I think I can ask the council member, just for clarity, when you say 10 citizens in kind of a first come, first basis, I'm just wondering what it looks like when there's more than 10 that may not be directly from our community but want to speak to an issue, but they're here, say, before residents are. How do we have a plan on how we may handle that?
The unfortunate thing is I don't think we can handle that, right? And it's not, I think that would be too much work on the clerk's office to try and vet who's a citizen and who isn't. It would just be a first come, first served basis. And yeah, I mean, there's no way to really combat that. So, and I'm not trying to put more work on their office to, look through every person. My hope is that our citizens would get preference, but it's not a perfect world,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So.
Gotcha. I appreciate you bringing the discussion back. I know everybody on this dais, the last thing we ever want to do is not hear from our citizens. It means a lot to all of us, whether it's an email, whether it's a phone call, whether it's in here. It was not an easy decision when we went down that path, and it was a prescription. We kind of felt that when safety was at question, of not just the dais, but residents were discussing it, even staff had some questions on it. That was a prescription at the time, that not the best path. It was what we felt was the only path, and we went that way. Many would probably say that it's helped and it's been a bit of a deterrent. I'm okay and supportive if that's the direction this dais wants to go back. I think we just have to be aware the burden of enforcement becomes a heavy lift back to the gavel on our decorum rules, and I think that's vitally important that we understand that, and then that's also putting our PD in that role of enforcement as well from the gavel to him. I'm supportive of it if the council wants to go back in that direction. It is unfortunate there's not a way, and I totally agree with you on making sure that the citizens and the community voices can be heard first and foremost, but not possible, and I recognize that. But I'm interested to see what the rest of the council thinks on it.
I'm conflicted. When I realized that this was going to be on the consent agenda item, I purposely engaged in the community, and that was easy because we had so many events. And I heard both sides. And I dug in deeper a little bit with those who feel that email, when I present the argument, you can communicate with me. You can email, call, text, we can meet for coffee, you can come to the city hall. They actually clarified for me what was different. And they put value in being seen, recorded in a public setting. That's important to them. And so now I'm left with the decision, okay, how important is that versus those citizens who've told me that they now feel safer coming to the meetings because it's less disruptive, that business is being conducted versus having a circus atmosphere, that those who are disruptive are not even from Clearwater. So I'm conflicted. I'm going to keep hearing what citizens are going to say, but this is not an easy decision for me because I also want to hear, I also want to put value on the first responders and how difficult this will be if we reinstate it. Number two, if we go back, how hard is it going to be if we recognize it's a mistake? So maybe have a expiry time, I'm not quite sure. But it's not clear cut for me because I'm hearing many different opinions. So I'm looking forward to hearing more before I make my stance.
Okay. So my thoughts are, I'm not opposed to it. I think we have to ask ourselves, and when we last debated it, I asked this, is, I don't know, how long has this, had that been on the agenda? 30 years? And we'd had it forever, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mayor, do you mean
Yeah.
the portion of the meeting
Yeah.
for, yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
defer to the clerk, but a long time, right?
Before I started working with the city, so
Yeah.
it's been a while.
So my point then was, and my point is now, it is having it on the agenda the same way today, serving the same purpose it was intended to serve years ago when it first started being on the agenda, when we didn't have social media, when we didn't have YouTube, when we didn't have all this stuff that invites people who come in, like the comedian Alex Stein got, I don't know how many clicks when he came to the Community Development Board and put on a comedy routine. I don't think that was the purpose of having it on our agenda years ago. And that's what I've seen it being distorted to. It's, there are people from our community, we've seen them, they come in and they genuinely are residents here and they have something they want to communicate to the five of us collectively. But that's been a very small portion of it. Many of the folks that come in and many of the folks that drive from long distances to get here, they're not coming in to help, give us an idea if it's going to better the community. They're coming in to use it as a media platform to generate, I guess, if you have a YouTube channel, I guess subscribers and turn it into something that it was never intended to be. So, and we had the experience in the last year where, because we had that part of our agenda, we had citizens coming in on legitimate agenda items, business directly before the city, who were made to feel uncomfortable in coming out to speak on an agenda item because of the atmosphere that these folks created. I know that, and certainly I've invited folks to run for mayor and to, if you want to sit up here and hold the gavel and try to make a judgment call on whether or not somebody's out of order or not, with the advice I've gotten from the city attorney, it's not that easy, folks. And I'm telling you, I've certainly have not done a perfect job in doing that, but it is very difficult to sit there and make judgment calls on all kinds of folks. So I'm not against having it back on. I would ask us to think about how can we do it in a way that protects the right of folks to come out and talk on agenda items, that they don't have to sit through, they don't feel like they're in an atmosphere where they're uncomfortable coming out to present or speak on an agenda item. And then if there's some way to narrow it to at least discourage these folks like Alex Stein to come in from making a mockery of it, really, to use it to promote your own business or whatever enterprise you have, but to do something that's really not, to put on a performance that's not furthering our citizens' best interest, not helping our city. Folks have a right to speak, for sure, but they don't have a right to speak on our platform, on our media platform. They've got all kinds of opportunities to do that through social media and YouTube and all other. If you want to speak out to the public, there are a gazillion better ways to speak to the public rather than coming to a meeting here and doing it. If you're speaking to us, that's a different story. We encourage that. So I know other cities have approached in different ways. We had a separate town hall, a separate location. That did not work very well. I think we all recognize that. I think people were even more uncomfortable that came out to speak on a legitimate city item. So if there's a way to separate it from the meetings somewhat, it could be the same night, same day. If there's a way to, I heard somebody say, we had Zoom meetings at one time. That allowed people to speak to the council, but it took out the security concerns that people would have. And I know there are other communities doing it different ways too, to just recognize the reality that the purpose of the meeting, that agenda item, is to let people come out and speak to 5 of us about their concerns on something concerning the city. And if there's a way to make sure it stays to that and not just this open mic night at the Improvisation Comedy Club, that's what I think is in the best interest of our citizens to do. So again, I'm not opposed to it. I would just ask us to think about a way forward that kind of limits the theatrics that we witnessed.
So I have a question for the city attorney. What I've seen over the years is the thing that makes it a circus atmosphere is that these people come in with cameras on their chest, on their head. They carry pole cameras. They put cameras up on why do they need cameras? Why does anybody coming here need a camera? Because this is all videotaped and is for the public. When they come in with their cameras, it's easier to edit certain things and snippets and the way they want to do it, just to put it on YouTube for their specific thing that they want to get across. Can we eliminate recording devices in here? It is being recorded as being made to the public. Personal recording devices, if we took that away?
Certainly understand the question. This is a topic that has been litigated fairly extensively. A lot of communities have gone through that question as well. Generally speaking, the courts have held that there is an individual personal constitutional right to record public meetings. However, that does not mean it is unlimited. So, for example, if someone is using it in a manner that is particularly disruptive, if something could be confused with a weapon, if it's causing extreme distraction that is preventing the business from being conducted, I do believe that we could look at potential decorum-related rules for how, when, where they're used within the room. I have seen cities defend lawsuits successfully on those grounds. I do not, however, believe we could pass a blanket ban that would tell citizens that they are prohibited from filming their government when we are conducting a public meeting like this.
Yes, thank you, sir. I appreciate each one of your all's inputs and back and forth with this. I think that it's important because it's the one time where you get everyone in the same room. You have all 5 of us. You have the assistant city managers, the city manager, the clerk, the city attorney. They can say their piece for 3 minutes right from that podium to say exactly what they need to all of us, right? I've even seen us at times go back down into the audience after a meeting and meet with that person because we wanted further information to get with them. I think everybody here knows they have a tiny supercomputer in their pocket or purse that they can find our email or whatever information they want about us and reach out to us. You know, I had the ability to come here and do that. I chose to do something different, and now I'm sitting here. So when it comes back to allowing people to redress us, all of us that sit up here, I just think it's important to give them time to do that. And it's 3 minutes. If we can't just sit through 3 minutes of a theatric, if we can't sit through 3 minutes of something that's important to one of these people out here or to a Clearwater business owner, I don't know. Maybe we need to instill more discipline in ourselves. That's why I eliminated the additional minutes that give people up to 15 minutes. That's why I've limited it to 30 minutes. Citizens are just going to have to understand if they had something they wanted to say and they didn't get it in as one of those 10 people, and we had some circus attend, that's not on us. We empathize with them, right? But going forward, there's 2 weeks from now, you can maybe be earlier or try and get your name back in and let us hear what you have to say. So I'm still going to stick with, you know, what I've put here. I would like to see if there's any further. I mean, back when we were trying to fix the rules when we actually had it, we thought about trying to limit it to just Clearwater businesses, Clearwater stakeholders, Clearwater residents. There was no true legal way to try and get that done. And then, well, what about regionally? We started trying all these different options. It just wouldn't work. So that's why I think that, as we've noted, sentiment has come down. I do think that there are residents that want to be able to come up here and speak to us about things that are important to them. I think that is important to me to hear them, aside from an email and or a phone call, because it gets everybody in on it, right? It's not just me then getting one thing because of sunshine. I can't bring it to Mike if it's closer to him, or, you know, to Lena if it's closer to her downtown, or to you, Mayor, or you, Councilmember Albritton on the beach. I have to go to either the city manager or one of the assistant city managers or the city attorney and try and figure this out and help the one person when they could just come here, tell us their issue, and we know what it is. 9 times out of 10, the city attorney's already taken notes, the clerk's taken notes, and one of the city manager or ACM has taken notes. I've seen ACM Slaughter get up after meetings or during a meeting to help those citizens and get further information. So I think that is the importance, you know, and I think Lena saying that she's had citizens give her that more in-depth information kind of hits that nail on the head of what I'm trying to convey. And I understand there's other people that don't feel that way. I'm not trying to negate them or what's going on there. I think it's an important part, especially at local government. And it comes back to just give the people their 3 minutes and move on, right? Max at 30 minutes. We got max at 10 people every meeting. Some important things will come out of it, and there's going to be some clowns that show up to the circus. And I think that we just have to be ready for it and move on. So thank you for the time. If we have any more discussion, I welcome it, absolutely.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, this isn't about thick skin. It isn't about, it's about people coming in and being so over the top that they are dissuading citizens from coming in and speak. And you know, I get it, you know, that's why we have police officers here, but I had to testify at a criminal trial with a police officer. I mean, it takes time out when we ejected we asked someone, because they violated the rules, to leave, and they came back in, so they trespassed. So our officers tried to control the situation, and I see that time that our police officers are spending trying to deal with all that I think is unnecessary if we just put in some guardrails. I agree with you, and I said earlier, we have gotten good feedback from time to time from some folks who didn't know how to reach us if they show up. I haven't heard anybody say they're against that. I just wonder if you have some ideas on how we can do it a little differently, or try doing it a little differently than what we did it before, to see if we can minimize the dampening effect that some folks would have on other folks coming in to speak. not against it, not about tough skin, it's about, are there some ways that we can maybe put it different places on the agenda, have it at a different time, in addition to limiting it? My only concern about the 10 people is, now we get into who got in line first, and we get into this, the 11th person feels like they haven't been treated fairly if we cut it off in that. Some communities have a sign up. You don't speak on public comment unless you sign in and register ahead of the meeting. And then I guess you could do that, but you would need some mechanism, I think, to limit it before the meeting to no more than 10. City Attorney, do you have something?
Yeah, trying to think which part to take first. So I guess to take the easiest part first, yes, the council can decide what portion of the agenda you'd like to have this on if you decide to bring it back. So whether you'd like to have that at the end, the beginning, the middle, is completely up to the council's prerogative. So I think that's the easy part of this. As far as the sign up, I think that probably would be a good way to track, who was here first, because people would sign up and it would just be numbered 1 through 10, and you wouldn't have the fighting in the sense that when someone's signature is on there, then they're on there. Could you have a fight as people are trying to sign? Maybe, but at least once it's on there, you would have number 1 through 10. So I think that would at least solve the administrative problem for the clerk. To Councilmember Menino's point, I strongly suspect what will happen is that it probably will be a lot of folks who are from outside of our area, probably a lot of folks who come out repeatedly, so you're probably going to get a lot of that, but that's okay. That's not really good or bad. That's just an observation. To the mayor's point about how we might kind of, I'll say, guide that process so it's a little bit more orderly. I do not believe under Florida law that we could necessarily regulate or limit in terms of residency relating to people who comment on agenda items. So in other words, for agenda items, I do think that anyone in the public has a right to comment on them regardless of where they live, whether they're a stakeholder in our community or not. However, when it relates to non-agenda items, in other words, if we are reinstituting a portion of the meeting that citizens to be heard for items not on the agenda, at least when I last looked at this, it was my opinion that the city has the right, if the city chooses, to limit that to people who are local stakeholders. That could be defined within reason, may not just be Clearwater residents, perhaps it's Pinellas County residents. How do we account for things like Clearwater gas customers and things of that nature? But to the mayor's point, we may have options to ensure that the people who are commenting, number one, actually have some kind of connection and some kind of stake in the local community. And number two, that way it doesn't drown out. If there's the same 10 people who are just monetizing their YouTube channel every week, it doesn't drown out those actual residents who want to be heard. So at least when I last researched this, which has been a while, I did believe at the time that we could put a residency requirement for non-agenda items only. So if that is something the council wants me to update and look back at, I can certainly look at that.
How would you feel about that?
I would actually really appreciate it. So maybe is what I was going to say is we pick this discussion back up in the new year at our January 15th meeting or that Monday council session. I still agree to the 3 minutes, not allowing extra time in that 30-minute time frame. And one of the reasons I say that is because I think that if you want to talk to us, you should be able to get up and talk to us. Say what you need to say to us and don't be scared. I understand it's something interesting. I mean, it's another thing sitting up here and talking to everybody too. But we want to hear you. I think that everybody genuinely does. So I would totally be for that. And one of my concerns, though, would be for our elderly. We've got some people that just do not know how to use technology. So signing up beforehand might be a problem. Maybe a workaround to that is good old-fashioned clipboard and 10 slots with a signature verified by the security guard that goes through the metal detector with signage. If you'd like public comment, please let security know. Shows your ID that you're a Clearwater resident if we get that okayed. And then they sign their name to 1 through 10, whoever the first 10 were. And then anybody else who asks, sorry, it's been full. So maybe that's a workaround to ensure that it is a Clearwater resident, stakeholder, or something like that.
That's good. Okay, any comments? So you want to, oh, Councilmember Menino. Yeah.
I appreciate the discussion. I think we already did all this homework kind of on that. What we found was somebody rented a room to somebody for $1 for a month, and now they're a tenant. Somebody registered for a 1-credit online course at St. Pete College for $79, and now they're a student. Like, we're opening doors to, I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze and going down those routes, but I'm open to whatever the dais decides. I see the balance. It is, we all value the importance with respect to the public and hearing their thoughts, but there is a balance there too of capitalizing on a meeting and ruining a business meeting just for personal gain and things like that. So trying to strike that balance has been the challenge in this discussion. We're going on 1.5 years now, and I don't know if we found that answer yet.
I can see Pinellas County residents. I mean, we've got so much that's unincorporated Clearwater that it's, we could extend it to Pinellas County residents. And by residents, you have to show a driver's license or something that shows be pretty easy to show. Yeah, okay. So we want to put it on the first council meeting in January.
Yeah, move it to work session, give staff time to kind of
To come up
research
with
it,
something,
get
yeah.
more into the weeds and make sure that we've, crossed our Ts, dotted our Is.
Okay.
Thank you all, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm taking is, my homework is to kind of go back to that topic of residency requirements, things of that nature, and see what we can do. Again, when I last looked at this, I felt pretty confident in the answer, but it's been a while since we've looked at this, so I'd like to look at that again, see if that's changed.
Thank you.
Okay.